Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday Morning Cup of Coffee. I'm Steve Ivy with co-host Brady Hull. Brady, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man. It was a weird weekend, up and down. Some positives, some major negatives, but we're ready for another week to do it all over again. So here we go.
Yeah, let's get the negative out of the way. Obviously, the Fresno State game on Saturday night. Your quick thoughts. I know you'll probably talk about it on your show today, but just your quick thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the start of the game looked a lot like it has looked for CSU all season. The difference was that defense wasn't able to come up with those first half stops, and then you get Fresno State. They get up early, 28-7, and CSU is built to run the ball. They're built to control the clock, not necessarily built to make those comebacks like that. So made it interesting, at least in the second half. But I get it. Injuries, everybody's hurt, though. I'm looking at all these different teams. Everybody's got them. Just disappointing, Steve. I think they were underdogs. They were picked to lose this game to Fresno State. A lot of people thought this could be tricky. I don't think the sky is falling because of this loss, but it was a rough go. It was disappointing for sure.
Yeah, I had maybe just a little bit of a perspective. I thought there'd be a letdown after the Wyoming game. We get up for a border war game. You play for a trophy you haven't really won in a long time, and I thought maybe they were maybe a little emotionally drained. And it was a tough ask to go travel 1,000 miles and play Fresno, who's not a horrible team. They're a decent team, and
Yeah.
like you said, they were underdogs. And it's a maturity thing for a team trying to learn how to win. Following, everybody's excited about winning the bronze boot, including the team, and maybe there was a little bit of a letdown there. And I'm not making excuses for them, but
No. And Fresno State's one of those teams, those weird teams where it feels like on their best day they might be able to beat anybody. I mean, look what happened with Wyoming and Boise State. That was supposed to be a blowout, and Wyoming kept that thing interesting throughout. It's college football, and a lot of people freaking out over the Jay Norvell stuff over the weekend, going back to the hot seat talk. I'm not there anymore. I think he's the guy going forward. I know it was a weak schedule. They took advantage of it, but I'm definitely not there. Certainly some questions about what they're going to do offensively next season, but I'm all in on the Jay Norvell sticking around thing.
Yeah, and I thought that's your poll question today. People should get out on X or wherever they find Brady and respond to his poll question of should Jay stay or should Jay go? So, yeah. You ended up, were you 3-3 on the weekend?
Yeah, 3-3 on the weekend. So we didn't, we're happy with that. I'm 8 games over 500 on the picks, so good chance to finish right around there. One less game to pick this weekend with the UNC Bears being done officially for their season. So, 500, didn't gain any, didn't fall back any. So we feel good about that.
At least you're above water. I don't bet very much. And I decided to bet a college basketball game last week. I've been impressed with Nevada in the preseason, and they were, I think, like a 2.5 point favorite over Vanderbilt. And I thought they'd beat them by 10, and they ended up losing. And I lost a very small bet. I don't bet a lot, but that was my one bet for the season, and I lost it. So
I really don't do a whole lot of betting. I just like to make picks. I go with the spread. I look at all that stuff. So I always caution people, hey, this is just from my research. I'm not always putting my own money behind this kind of stuff. I feel kind of weird, kind of gross doing that because I do follow these teams closely, have relationships with coaches and players. They don't give me any real betting insight, but I just feel strange about doing it. Out of market stuff, sure, absolutely, that's a different story. But no, I usually just caution everybody. I'm not throwing the mortgage on these games if I have a very small amount.
So, well, I'll tell you what. Let's get going with our guest. I will let everybody know. Feel free to comment on and if you want to send questions, but. Our guest is pre-recorded. He is a very, very busy young man. And so let's get started. Brady and I will be watching the video, and we might interrupt during, but plan to spend about 25 minutes with none other than the great Isaiah Stevens. This was pre-recorded yesterday. Here we go. All righty. I am here with Isaiah Stevens, all-time leading scorer at Colorado State, all-time leading assist man at Colorado State, first all-time in the Mountain West Conference in assists, second all-time in scoring to Naismith Award winner Jimmer Fredette. And to put Isaiah's career into perspective, 25th all-time in the NCAA in assists and 134th in scoring, which is not bad for a pass first point guard. Zay, how the heck are you, man?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I'm excited to do this, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, it was, it's been tough. I told you, and you've been very, very willing, I know, to come on the show. And you've been a very, very busy man now in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. How is Sioux Falls?
It's not too bad, man. It's starting to get a little cold, though. The wind definitely hits a little bit different than it did in Colorado. But all in all, it's been pretty good.
So more like Laramie than Fort Collins?
A little bit, yeah.
So anyway, what I want to do, we'll do some things toward the end and talk a little bit about your CSU career. But what I really want to do is get people caught up with what you've been doing since you left CSU. And of course, you're playing professionally now in the G League. But I want to kind of walk through the timeline of post-CSU. Of course, you went into workouts and combines and a whole variety of things leading up to the draft, and then you weren't drafted. Did you know you weren't going to be drafted? Did you have a hint that you had a chance of being drafted, or how did that go for you?
For me, I kind of just had the feeling that it probably wasn't going to happen. There was an outside shot towards the end of the second round, but honestly, I didn't think it was pretty likely. There was a lot of interest as far as getting right into summer league situations, though, so that was pretty encouraging. Me and my agent started having conversations late in the second round about kind of where we wanted to move forward, barring anything drastically changing at the end of the draft. So we started having those conversations, and Miami was the organization we thought was probably the best fit to get started with. So that's kind of how we got there.
I was going to ask you, were there people that were drafted in the second round that you thought you were better than?
I mean, I feel like I'm always feel that way regardless. I'm probably not the right one to ask, but everything happens for a reason, man. There's no ill will towards it. Yeah, man, I'm just excited for what I've been able to already kind of get under my belt and just continuing to get better. So
you ended up choosing Miami, and there was a lot of talk about Heat culture. What about? And I'm sure you had other places you could have gone. What about Miami? What attracted you to Miami?
I think exactly what you said. The culture that they have in place. They value winning. They value hard work, dedication, all the things that you hear in the media is honestly really true, especially when you get down there and spend some time with them. And that was just something that I felt really hit home for me. They had interest in me as well for quite some time, as far as being able to come in and potentially just work my way through their system. And I think as of right now, we're kind of just seeing what a little bit of hard work and a right fit can lead to.
So you end up going with Miami, and then things roll into pretty quickly into summer league, right? That's kind of and they pull you together. They get you working out together, and you guys had a pretty good crew of players, obviously, with your number 1 draft pick Khalil Ware, number 2 draft pick Pele Larson. You had Keyshawn Johnson, who formerly of San Diego State, from the U of A. You had Josh Chris. I mean, you had a great bunch of guys, but you didn't look so good the first game you guys played.
We didn't. I think we got beat by about 30, 40 points, man. It got bad. But it happens. It was our first time all playing together. Especially when you play out in San Francisco before Vegas or the Utah stops and some of those early summer league situations. Man, you kind of have no idea what to expect. You put together a whole bunch of guys that are just trying to make a name for themselves, and if you don't have the right mindset, it could really go south, which we saw with some other teams. But we were just trying to figure it out. We had the right group. Everybody had the right intentions. But it was definitely a wake up call for us about what we wanted this summer to look like. So we were gonna have to make the right changes.
Well, what's really funny in this kind of internet day and age where instant reactions, if somebody has a bad game, they're a flop, right? It's just
Facts.
and
Yeah,
Khalil Ware, of course, he didn't look very good in that first game, and you knew how good he
yeah,
was, right?
for sure.
Top 10 coming out of high school, 7-footer who can run and jump and shoot and do all kinds of things. But you developed a very strong relationship on the basketball floor with him very early on. Can you talk about what it took to get you to that point with him?
I think honestly, just being myself. I didn't try to run up and be somebody that I'm not. I'm a point guard who loves to get others involved, and he's a big man who likes to implement his dominance on the game. I feel like that was a pretty good pairing right there. But we just started just conversating a little more, talking about different reads, where he likes the ball, and obviously he can go up to a whole different floor as far as lobs and touch passes go that a lot of people can't. So just getting on the same page with some of those things, and I think from that point on, we started to really find some success.
Did was it a new experience for you learning how to throw lobs to a guy like that?
Learning how to throw them, no, it's more so like getting it in your head when is a good time to just throw it up and let him go be the athlete that he is and let him use his God-given abilities. Uh, And me and Ali and Coach Nico joke about it all the time. Like, honestly, playing at CSU probably made me a better passer because everything had to be on time, on target. It had to be right where our bigs could go get them because we didn't have any necessarily lob threats, especially coming out of the pick and roll. So, uh, almost just changing the way I think about it. I remember there was a couple plays in my first couple of practices where I'm throwing the ball dead at his feet and he's getting ready to load up and jump, and we're looking at each other like, well, you were open down here. And he was like, I'm not bending all the way down there to get this ball. And I just throw it up. So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's like
yeah.
an old person not wanting to bend over either. I guess
Yeah, man.
I've never experienced what it's like to be a 7-footer, but I got to imagine
You
it's
neither.
a little different. So anyway, you really started coming together, and next thing you know, you're starting to kind of blast teams, and you really develop the chemistry. The whole team. You had 5, 6, 7 guys just absolutely flying around, and next thing you know, you're winning the summer league. That had to
Man.
feel had to feel sensational.
For sure. And that was something that we set out to do, honestly, like from the first day of the summer league training camp that we had. And that was the expectation and the goal. Uh, so, yeah, to actually be a part of it. And I don't think Miami had ever won a summer league prior to this. And they've had a ton of great players come through. So that was just cool just to be a part of something special like that.
How's the ring feel?
Man, it feels real. I know that.
First championship since you didn't win a championship at CSU. It was the first championship since your state championship in high
Yeah.
school, right?
Yep. Yep. It
that
was.
that had to be a great feeling. And then so you guys all came together, and then it was on to training camp in Miami. And I know we touched bases a few times. That had to be just an absolutely hectic time. You figuring out a way to get from Fort Collins to Miami
Yeah.
via Texas, all kinds of things, and then you go into training camp. And what's training camp like?
Man, it's very intense. uh and that's I think that's just the best way to put it. It's super intense, it's super detailed, very competitive. Man, you start to get an up close look at what the greats in the NBA are doing day in and day out with Bam and Jimmy and Tyler uh and Terry Rozier and all these guys that are just absolutely some of the best at what they do. And Duncan Robinson even gets thrown in there. Kevin Love, like the list goes on with the players that I've been able to watch behind the scenes. But being able to like be on the same floor, compete, go toe to toe with those guys, like it was a really cool experience, especially for my first year.
Who's the one guy on the Heat that surprised you with how good he is?
Alec Burks for sure, and I know he's a buff, and a lot of the older folks might know about him a little bit, but man, like he can really put the ball in the basket, high IQ, can defend, and just has a really good knack for just always being in the right spot and making the right read. Like it was really cool watching him.
I'll bet you he didn't talk much about the time they played in Fort Collins. He was on a team with Corey Higgins, who played a little bit in the NBA as well. And we blasted them by like 16 points. And after the game, I think it was Burks who said, I didn't realize this game was so important. He was a freshman.
Right.
He probably didn't talk much about that game.
Nah, he definitely didn't mention that one for sure. But we did have a little back and forth about the football game that I ended up coming up to a little bit before I came back to
Yeah.
Fort Collins. So we talked a little trash before that one. That was cool.
So, but speaking of former Buffs, then exhibition season rolls around, and your mom captured a really nice moment on the floor of you standing next to KJ Simpson when you played the Hornets. Did you talk to him much, or was that something were you able to kind of reflect on? Boy, 9 months ago we were playing each other in Moby Arena.
No, we actually had a little mini conversation at the free throw line one time and just talking back and forth. And I got a lot of respect for KJ. He's a good dude. Obviously a really high level competitor, talented player. So we've gotten a chance to chop it up here and there just through the midst of this whole professional journey so far. And yeah, man, that was a really cool moment.
Yeah, the picture was great. It was fun to see you with the Heat uniform. But then you go through final cuts and whatever, and you end up getting waived. Is that right? By Miami, you had a training camp contract, and then you end up getting waived and then signed with Sioux Falls. How does that work out in terms of the waiving and signing? Because you're still kind of associated with the Heat, right?
Right. And so essentially because of the training camp deal, you get signed to an Exhibit 10 contract, which kind of transitions you over to Sioux Falls and gives you the opportunity to still kind of be in their wheelhouse a little bit. So that's currently the deal that I'm on. And I feel like Sioux Falls has been a good decision to be a part of right now.
Yeah, it's and we can let's walk through. I mean, what's cool is I watched a little bit of last night's game on YouTube, and I've watched some on ESPN Plus. Right now, you've played 7 games. You won the last 5 in a row. You're averaging about 15 points, and you're second in the league in assists, just under 10 assists a game. You're on a team that has, again, some of the guys you played summer league with, so you guys have really good chemistry. You look like you're having a lot of fun playing with those guys.
For sure. And I think the running, the jumping, the high speed game is something that's, I think, just really enjoyable when you can get everybody to buy into it. And so everybody's getting a piece of the pie. Everyone feels like they can do what they need to do because obviously nobody wants to stay in the G League forever and everyone wants to produce. But at the same time, if this is where we are right now, you want to make the most of it. And I feel like guys have really bought into that. And like you said, we got off to a little bit of a slow start, but now we're 5 in a row, and it's only going to get tougher from here. But I definitely like the way we've been playing so far.
So, Keyshawn Johnson, he got called up to the Heat today, didn't he?
Yeah, he left. I believe this morning. Honestly, after last night's game, I think he left this morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten to know him pretty well? I mean, I don't know how much you knew him when he was at San Diego State, but have you gotten to know him pretty well?
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually probably spent the most time with him since summer league, just because of the tandem, him being a 4, small ball 5. Like those relationships, I think are really important. So I try to definitely just stay in their ear as much as possible about what I'm seeing, what they're seeing. But honestly, man, just off the court, just a good dude, like through and through. And obviously, we battled a ton, so the respect factor is there. With him being at San Diego State and somebody that's honestly transitioned his entire game from what it once was to where he is now, I think it's nothing but respect there and the work that he's put in.
I was laughing watching last night. He's playing this small ball 5 and guarding a guy like Jahlil Okafor,
Crazy.
who was what a top 3 lottery pick or something out of Duke.
Without a doubt. And he's really good, man.
and I'm watching Johnson just kind of push him around sometimes, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also have a couple of other former Mountain West guys. Warren Washington. Did you know Warren when he was at Nevada at all?
I knew him just as a competitor. I've gotten a chance to get to know him on more of a personal level too. Spend some time with him. Good dude, funny dude. Yeah, we've gone back and forth about a few of those Nevada games that he was a part of, and I feel like anytime they came to Moby, for the most part, we took care of it. But going into their place was a little bit of a different story. So we've gone back and forth a little bit here and there.
You also play with a guy you didn't play against him in college, but from New Mexico, Tony
Yep.
Snell, right? What you can't believe that guy was probably the most underrated player to ever play in the Mountain West. He was that good. First round draft pick. He was a 3-and-D guy. He didn't miss when he had a 3-pointer that was open, and he could guard anybody. He was something.
Man, he doesn't miss now. He doesn't miss now still to this day. And he's an unbelievable teammate. He takes care of us, man. He's always talking, always uplifting. Just like his whole perspective on the game of basketball is something that I think he's really passed, not fully, but he's passing it down currently on a lot of us here. And honestly, I think there's a lot to be taken away from his journey, his career, how he approaches it, man. So, he's a funny dude, man.
So you have the same coach you had in summer league, right? Dan Basaccio, is that right?
Yep.
What about him is how do you relate to him in terms of a coach versus what you had at CSU? Do you see a lot of similarities, a lot of differences?
With Coach Dan, it's a lot of similarities to Coach Nico. I think the first thing that jumps off the page is the competitive spirit. Like wants to win everything, just like Coach Nico was. Like every minor detail and walkthrough practice, like we're going over it. If you don't get it right, we're doing it again. Like we're not glossing over any of the small steps. So there's always just like something about that I naturally get drawn to as a point guard. Because I feel like I'm the same way, just in a uniform. So we've really hit it off. He holds me accountable. He gives me also the freedom and the leadership capability to be myself. Though he doesn't want me trying to be anybody else, and I appreciate that. So
it seems like the relationship you have with him is very similar to Nico in terms of you're his guy, you're him on the floor. It seems like you are the guy responsible for kind of organizing and getting everybody in the right places and keeping the thing together. Is that does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. And with a lot of that comes a lot of responsibility too. But I wouldn't want to have it any other way because that means I get to make decisions, have the ball in my hand, make proper reads, and the leash continues to get longer. But man, he's a heck of a coach. He's really good on the whiteboard too, man. He draws up some really good stuff for us. And on the defensive end, man, he just pours just energy and life into that side of the ball. So he really makes you want to lock down, get a stop, take somebody out the game, push some guys around. So it's been fun so far.
So I got to ask you, did he draw up on that whiteboard the 3-pointer you hit to end the first half last night?
Not at all. The action we tried to get into, we had worked on it in pregame, a shoot around, but things happen, and sometimes you just gotta just react on the fly.
I noticed you were kind of laughing when you went to the bench. That was for those that didn't see it. It was a busted play, and the ball went flying toward the basket. Was it Josh Christopher? I think.
Yeah.
Christopher near the midcourt line, just falling to the ground, threw the ball to Isaiah about 35 feet from the basket. And you took maybe 1 or 2 dribbles and chucked up something.
And banked
it in, and it was beautiful. It takes talent to do, but I was laughing. You had to have a good laugh with that with your teammates.
For sure.
Anyway, but you're coming off 2 games ago, a 16 or 15 assist game, and then last night another double with what 18 and 10 or something like that. You're flying. It's becoming double night pretty regularly, and it's been fun for me to watch. I'm sure you're having a great time too.
For sure. And obviously, man, it's a lot of credit to the teammates, man. I don't get credit for the assists unless they make the shot. So, it's been a good pairing. I think we got guys that are starting to really understand my brand of basketballs, and hopefully it just continues to grow from here.
Well, what I'm amazed with is the sheer number of lob dunks you've created for people. It's amazing in the open court how easy you make it look, and I see the bounce passes too, but the lob dunks to guys, and it's really hard as a spectator watching on TV. I don't always even see it coming, and then it just comes, and it's pretty amazing. So congratulations, you're really, really, really looking good. So anything else you want to talk about from the G League perspective before we move on and wrap up?
Man, I'm all good. We can do it.
Okay. Well, I've got a little short video I pulled together, and it's kind of your career in a nutshell over the years at CSU. And I'd love for you to watch it with me, and feel free to comment if you see something you like and want to talk. Feel free to talk over the video. Okay. Before I run the video, Brady, I'm trying to make you cry here. So if you cry, it's okay.
Oh, I love it, man. Great interview. Very entertaining.
Here we go. Watch this video. I had a good with. This is a lot of fun. Here we go. Hey, it's fine.
Okay,
Here it comes.
Man, craziest home environment I've ever seen. It's right there in Cameron Indoor.
Yeah. The UNLV game, your freshman year.
Yes, sir. I remember that big win for us too.
COVID year. That's
UNT, yeah, back at home. That was a fun game. Against Buffalo, I believe.
1,000-point night, you and Roddy. This is the guy. Right here.
Man, without a doubt, probably my favorite play of myself. That's crazy. Oh, man.
That was a great defender you shot it over, too. Luis Rodriguez, man. He's a great defender.
Nah, he's a really good defender, too. Yeah. Man, I'm glad we pulled that one out, man. That was a special night for sure.
With 16 seconds to go. Well, they're not up 3, so it doesn't matter.
You got the rebound there.
Just got to play solidly.
Yep.
10 seconds left. Tajay pivots.
Yeah, I remember just begging for the ball too when I was running out. I was telling you.
All right, what did you say to the guy? What did you say to the guy on the sideline?
So before that, they were bantering back and forth, and I was just telling them there's still time on the clock, so we still got a little bit of a chance. And so when I hit that shot, I just kept talking. I don't know, I probably blacked out.
Senior year, 5th year, here it was, the start. Your
Yeah,
family
my
who was
family.
always there.
Anthony, Uncle Mike, my mom. Yeah, Dallas kid right here, Talik Chavez. I'm playing against him. The guy.
2,000-point night.
Man, that's a lot of buckets in one picture, man.
You and
Love Miss Amy.
Aggies. Senior night. Final time.
Crazy how fast it goes, man. Sheesh.
Sit down.
My boy Joe.
After summer league.
Yep.
You will be the only 5-time All Mountain West player ever. That is amazing.
I'll take it. Man, I hope so, for sure.
It's coming.
Nah, that was cool, man.
So, I wanted to mention just a couple of things before we go. I'm so appreciative. The picture. Most of those pictures are mine. I always like to take pictures after games, and you've been so gracious about that. But the UNLV game your freshman year in an orange Aggie uniform, which you never lost in, right?
No, sir. Never.
But that was the game following the Nevada game. And I missed the Nevada game because I had hip surgery and I got out of the hospital that same day of that game and they wouldn't let me go. And I sat down with you after that UNLV game and said, I missed the game the other night. And I said, you owe me one. Right. And we laughed about it.
Yeah.
And I waited 3 years and I got you paid me back 100-fold because I was at the UNLV game, right, when it happened. And we had so much fun in that game. There was about 50 of us people from CSU and sitting up there, and we were just falling over each other at the end of the game. And it was special because I really came full circle. And it was a very healing moment for me because that was actually the winter my daughter had a stroke that year. And we were going back and forth to Salt Lake City a lot. And usually I was driving, but that happened to be a time where I went back for a week to help her out and I flew. And before I came home, I called my wife and I said, I'm going to go to Las Vegas and go see the UNLV game because I had missed a game during the week. And then I'll fly home at night. And so it was kind of a miracle that I was there. And then I was so blessed that you did what you did that time. And it was that night. And it was, everything just came full circle.
Full circle, man. I'm glad it worked out, man. That's awesome.
It was something. Anyway, I want to close with a kind of, when you were that 18-year-old kid coming out of Allen, Texas, could you have imagined writing a better chapter of your life at CSU?
Not at all. Not at all. I remember kind of thinking out with Coach Ali what I wanted my career to look like. And he was always one that pushed me to have very lofty goals, shoot for the stars, land amongst the clouds type mindset. And he really pushed me to kind of just write down everything I wanted to accomplish in my career, no matter how far-fetched it was. And I'm sure we probably still got some of those papers laying around either in his office or in one of my boxes back home with all the goals on there. And even what I wrote down and what I experienced was completely different, man. And I'm just truly blessed and thankful to have the coaches that put me in positions and believed in me and spent time pouring into my development as much as they did with Coach Nico. Obviously, the list goes on with Coach Thorson and Coach JR, and then obviously Coach CJ, Coach Cooley, man. I don't want to miss everybody, but yeah, man, it's been really, really cool to just kind of sit back these last couple months and watch some old games because I'm sitting in a hotel room every other week. So, yeah, man, it's been cool.
So, we're so excited. I'm so happy you came on. Thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, people are excited to see you write your next chapter whether it's a G League and beyond. I want to let you know that my wife and I are rooting for you to get called up to the NBA. But if you're still with Sioux Falls in February, my wife looked at me a few days ago and said, is there any chance we can go see Isaiah play in the G League? And I said, well, we're not going to go to Sioux Falls. It's a pretty long drive. But then we realized you play in Salt Lake in February. You have you have 2 games in February back to back. And I looked it up, February 12th and February 13th. And I said, we could go see him play then. And I said, but let me check the CSU schedule. I don't want to miss any CSU games.
Right.
And CSU is playing in Logan, Utah, at Utah State on February 11th.
Man,
so we're gonna do it. We figure we're blessed, but we're hoping you get called up somewhere.
For sure.
It's not that we don't want to see you, but we really we look forward to seeing you, but having a nice trip to catch up with you. But until then, God, best of luck. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been blessed to get to know you, and Ram fans have been blessed to have you as not just as a player, but as an alum. And we know we're going to see you again back here.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my second home now, man. I will absolutely be back as much as I can. I appreciate it.
Isaiah, thank you so much, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Say hello to your family for me.
Yes, sir. Same to you. Thank you.
Well, that was it.
That was great, Steve. You know, for you, and again, we brag about Isaiah here in a second too, but you follow this team so closely, and you become. I mean, all these names you're throwing out there talking to Isaiah, man. It's so special. You follow this closely. You are a diehard basketball guy, and you can see why. For Isaiah Stevens to just want to jump on this podcast, man. You do your research. You continue to follow these guys. So hats off to you, man. And Isaiah is an amazing human being. And I only got to meet with him, once a week. He'd come in and do the Isaiah Stevens show, and I barely got to know him. But he was so easy to talk to, so humble. That's the same dude right there. And he's just getting better every single day. So that was awesome, man. Great interview.
Yeah, I wish he could have been there with us. I know how much, how great a relationship, and how much he respects you after what you did for 2 years with the Isaiah Stevens show, the Crazy Carl's relationship, all that. It was something. Anyway, as I hope it came across in the interview, how blessed I am to have gotten to know him. I believe I'm one of these kind of sentimental people that believes in the power of sports to bring people together, and somehow sports brings people into our lives. It's brought you into my life. We're doing this show, we're having fun doing it, and it's because of our passion with sports, and the same is true with Isaiah. And ultimately, life is all about the relationships and the people. There's not a lot of other stuff that really matters. So anyway. Any other final thoughts before we head out?
No, I mean, Isaiah is just an easy guy to root for. There's so many of these players that you've talked to, that I've talked to, and so many of them are great. So many go through the motions of a radio interview or whatever, but Isaiah wasn't really one of those guys. And it's just, you root for him, maybe above most of them, because he's that kind of guy. His family, he brought his mom and a bunch of his family members to the station last year. That was awesome. They got to sit in with one of the shows too. So, that's he's one of the good dudes, not just as a great basketball player, and we say that a lot because Nico Medved finds a lot of these great guys, but Isaiah is like, he is that guy right there is the same exact dude. He's just getting more experience, but he's the same guy. He'll always be that guy.
Yeah. So before we go, what else? What you got cooking today and later this week on your show?
We'll talk about the football side of things. Go through the tie-breaking scenarios in the Mountain West and the Big 12. We'll look at that. We'll get Mike Sanford on, talk Broncos, big win for them, and obviously hit the basketball stuff too. CSU got a foul. Got a foul when you're got a foul, Steve. Come on, it's happened twice.
Yeah. I don't know. I do a post-game show after the game, about 45 minutes after games, and that was pretty much the topic of conversation.
Hey, I don't know basketball as well as you do. I love basketball, but you are like a real X's and O's guy. But I can tell you got a foul. Let's just get that foul taken care of. I was gonna go out to practice today, but it sounds like they're off today, so I'll have to wait until next week. I've got a tight schedule here. I'll be done Wednesday, and then I won't be back until Monday. So we'll be pressing everything together here. And I was hoping we were going to have a really big game to talk about for CSU football. I mean, it's still big, I guess. If UNLV somehow loses to Nevada, and you beat Utah State, you're in. But I don't know. I don't know the odds of that, but I guess there's a chance. And you got one game left. And the fact that we're saying one game left, you're still mathematically in it for the Mountain West Championship game. That's kind of cool. And I think cool. Watching your video of Isaiah just reminded me more and more. It's like, I know we want greatness. I know we want all this stuff here. And you got a taste of that with the football side. So let's not throw it away. Jay Norvell's the guy. So that's
Yeah,
what we're harping on today, Steve.
Well, somehow we've got to figure out a way to touch bases. We got to get you your coffee mug.
Gotta get my mug, man.
We missed each other at practice last week, and probably won't run into each other this week. It's a little hectic with Thanksgiving, but we'll get you your mug, and we'll continue this this journey we're on with Monday morning cup of coffee. Thanks so much. Good to see you.
Appreciate you, man.
Have a great week. Hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving, Brady.
You too, my man. Great work by you, and it's an honor being on here with you, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks again. We'll see you.